Namaste, my sisters. Welcome. Welcome. So happy to have you here for this week's session in the Shamanic Sisters Circle. We are going to be talking about your personal path of healing. Any issue that you have, physical, emotional, spiritual, financial, I will look into that with you today. Everyone who's here with me live, please put down whatever you want to work on with me today into the comments. And I've also already received quite a few topics in advance that I will be speaking to. Good, now let me check everything is working here. All looking good. Say hi to me if you're joining me here live. Say hi also if you're watching this later on the recording. So what I will be doing here for everyone who's live, I will be really feeling into your personal path of healing, but I will also be talking a little bit about, the general path when it comes to problems of the body, problems of the heart and relationships, problems when it comes to your finances, so that everyone who's watching this on the recording, you're also going to get a lot out of this. Good. Let's dive right in. This is gonna be fun. And I really think that's the first thing that we need to talk about here when it comes to healing. We usually approach it from the wrong mindset. We usually are like very tense about it, very intensely focused on the problem and how uncomfortable it is, and we stress out. And from that state, we cannot heal. So I want you to be more lighthearted about whatever's going on in your life, no matter how real and awful it feels, because you are an eternal soul. So, whatever happens, even if you die tomorrow, it is not the end. You will never end. You are an eternal being. So I want you to start looking at this topic from this perspective of being a beautiful, bright, shining soul that has been here since the start of everything. You have been there since the creation of this universe. So if you look at this issue that you're having from that perspective, you're hopefully already going to feel much more relaxed, and that's the perspective that we need to actually start doing some healing work. Good. Hi Katrina, welcome. If you have a topic for me, Katrina, you can put it into the comments now or later. So, why are we typically struggling with healing certain problems for so long? Like, you can let me know in the comments whatever you're currently dealing with, whether that's a lack of finances, whether that's a physical problem like an illness, whether that's problems that you have in your relationships, emotional problems, mental health. Why do we usually struggle with that for so long? It's because our societies don't teach us, we don't learn about soul loss and power loss, and most people don't know how to facilitate it either. So what we typically do is we try to fix the problem in the 3D, right? So if we have a relationship problem, we either blame our partner or, we work on ourselves. But we try to adjust our attitudes, or we try to talk more nicely, or we do some talk therapy together with a relationship counselor or something like that, So we kind of are addressing the issue on the 3D. Same when you have a health issue, right? You would typically go see a doctor, or you would go to the hospital. And there's nothing wrong with all of these things, right? They can be an integral part of the healing process. But they are not the cause. We're not working here on the cause of the actual problem, right? So that's why these things are usually in themselves, if that's your only approach, not very effective, and why you end up struggling with it for a really long time, because you haven't taken care of the actual problem, of the actual cause of the problem, right? Which is always on a soul level. We are everything that we are, all of the different levels of our being, the mind, the body, the heart, they only exist because of our soul existence. So all the real problems that are not like a, you know, like I have a little rash on my finger one day kind of problems, but more like the deep stuff that we deal with for a long time, that always goes back to soul loss or power loss, usually both. So we have to approach it from that perspective. We have to deal with that on that level. And then we can do energy integrations, practical integrations that are going to help us to translate this healing into our 3 reality, into our circumstances, relationships, bank accounts, etc. So let me know if that makes sense so far. This is the basis that we need for understanding how real healing actually happens. So for those of you who don't know much about shamanic healing yet, what we do here is we reestablish balance between, balance in our energy systems, right? We typically carry around a lot of energies that are actually not yours, or that are ours but are outdated and don't serve us anymore, that we need to let go of. And we also typically are missing some pieces of ourselves that we need back. So we establish balance in a shamanic healing through extractions and retrievals. So typically in a shamanic healing session, we would first do extractions, right? The shaman is reunited with their extraction power animal in a trance state. Before that, dismemberment has happened, which means the ego of the healer is dissolved so that our personal stuff doesn't come into the healing session. And then the extraction power animal is working through us to take away all the energies that have accumulated in the person. They usually accumulate along the lines of the chakras, our main energy centers. We take those energies away. We usually give them over to Mother Earth, usually into water. And that makes space, that creates space. So the next step is to fill this space with the energies that we need back. So pieces and power pieces that we have lost in traumatic or disempowering situations in childhood, in adolescent years, also maybe as adults, and also for sure in past lives, in many past lives. So shamanic healing work is in that sense quite extensive, since many of us have not received any shamanic healing work yet, and many of us also didn't receive any shamanic healing work in some of our past lives. So there is quite a lot of work to be done, but the good news is usually a few sessions are enough to deal with all of that, because there are some core soul pieces that we need back that will usually make everything else fall into place. Let me know if all of this makes sense so far. I know this is a complicated topic, and I talk about this a lot with my apprentices who are learning how to become shamanic healers, and they have a lot more information. So let me know if I am not providing some information here that you need. I got a really good question from Deepa about why soul loss happens in the first place, why we let go of soul pieces, why we lose them. So this is a really good question. Now I first need you to understand that the soul is, why do often people say, the soul is indestructible, the soul is always whole? Well, it's because it is partly true. There is a soul core, right, that is eternal. Nothing can ever happen to it, nothing can diminish it, nothing can hurt it. It's basically, that's the basis of you, right? But there are other levels on the soul level of who you are. They're like layers of an onion, many layers around the core, and you can lose those, right? And the more of them you get back, the more enlightened you are. So it's really important to do this work, and most people don't know how to do it anymore. And even most shamanic healers don't know how to effectively perform shamanic healing because they are not concerned with integrating the soul pieces back into that person's life. And I found in my work that whenever we don't do that, when I learned shamanic healing the traditional way, and when I first started to work on clients, they typically felt amazing a few days after the session. They could really feel like a lot of changes that have felt impossible before, but at some point they would land back with the same problem. And I realized, okay, it's because there was no integration work, right? So first of all, we need to make sure this soul level energy actually sticks, especially when we receive back soul pieces from past lifetimes. They have typically been gone from our energy field for a long time. And so we need an energetic bridge, so to say, to help them integrate. And I've developed some specific practices for that I also teach to my apprentices, which are really important when it comes to that. So this is what I call the energy integration. So we always have the first step, shamanic healing, second step, energy integration, and then there is also some practical integration that needs to happen, right? We have that soul level energy back, but we could, you don't necessarily need a practical integration, right? If the soul piece is properly integrated through the energy integration, it's all there and fine. Well, things will get better in the 3D, but they might not get better overnight, because we might already have entrained thought patterns and beliefs that are still standing in the way of that healing being fully integrated into our lives and showing up in our circumstances, right? We might have some physical problems that are related to that also need to be addressed on the physical level so that they can heal faster, more effectively. We might have some emotional issues going on around that. We might have some difficult relationships we've attracted because of the soul loss. So we really need to tend to it on that level as well. So does that make sense? Let me know. So why does soul loss happen in the first place? It usually happens in traumatizing situations as a self-protection mechanism. We split part of our souls. This is then the part that holds the trauma. When you're doing a shamanic healing session for someone else, you will typically see exactly where that soul piece is stuck in time in that traumatic situation. That's why you can see it so clearly when you do that. So we need to unfreeze that soul part, make it realize that it's actually not stuck in that situation anymore. And why did we let go of it in the first place? It's because we were not able to integrate that trauma that was happening. It was just too much for us in the moment, right? So this is a self-protection mechanism, kind of a part of the soul is split so that most of us can stay whole. Does that make sense? It really does when you're seeing this work. And then we can bring those soul pieces back, right? We can explain to that soul part, look, this happened a long time ago. You were actually alive and well in another lifetime. Would you like to come back now? And I've never heard a soul piece say no to that. So then there's a process where you really send them into the light so that, because this part needs to go into the bardo, the world between the worlds, before it can come back to the person that is here in the here and now, in this body, in this moment, in this life. So this is all very complicated, but it is such a beautiful process. And maybe, listening to this, you can feel in your soul that this is all true and that this is how healing really works. Let me know if you have any questions about that. And I hope, Deepa, that answers your questions about why soul loss happens in the first place. And when it comes to power loss, here we're talking about our personal power, our life force, our will. And, those soul pieces, those power pieces, we typically lose them in this lifetime. And it happens in disempowering situations, usually when we are children, even more often when we are adolescents, when we feel like someone is taking away our power. This could be our parents, this could be a teacher, this could be a boyfriend. So what we do, we bring that power back, and typically the integration process will have something to do with that person that you gave the power to in the first place, right? So then the practical integration is about, maybe writing a letter that you might even never send, that you might burn. Could be about having an honest conversation with someone, and there's lots of other different ways. Could be a ritual, a meditation. There's a lot of different things that can happen here depending on exactly what happened in that situation. Let me know if all of this makes sense, if you have any questions. And Katrina, let me know if you have a topic for me to go over with you, because I have not received a topic from you yet. Now, before we dive in, I want to let you know about shamanic stars. If you want to learn shamanic healing for yourself, if you want to become a shamanic healer, then you might want to explore Shamanic Stars, my 7 months apprenticeship in core shamanism. Right now, I'm still in Bali for another 2 months. So this is the last chance to get your VIP weekend in Bali with me as a free bonus when you sign up. It's a pretty cool bonus, and I'm really looking forward to those of you who are gonna come here. You can have a call with me to talk more about that. I've put the link for you into the description of this session. It's on my website, shamanicyoga.love/clarity call. And this is really where you're going to learn everything there is to learn about self-healing from a shamanic perspective. So you're going to work a lot on yourself so you know exactly how it feels and you get to a whole new level of wholeness in your own life. And then you're going to learn how to do the same for other people for the most incredible healing results. So I don't know, shamanism saved me. So I really want as many people as possible to learn this amazing modality for themselves and for others. So check it out if you want to explore that. And if you want to experience a shamanic healing session yourself, I'm doing something really cool at the moment that I don't usually do. I'm offering small group sessions for shamanic healing. I typically only do shamanic healing with my one-on-one clients because I'm usually fully booked out. I've decided to give up some of my Mondays for you to do those healing sessions. Mondays are usually my me days where I spend time only with myself, only for myself, and I don't work and I don't spend time with my family. But I've had a lot of requests lately for some specific topics. Anxiety has come up, sexual healing has come up, money has come up. So I'm going to do some healing sessions throughout March, April and May. And the investment for that is 222 euros. So from my perspective, that's a real bargain. If it seems a lot to you, then I want you to relativize that. If you go to therapy, where no soul level healing happens, you will spend 1 to 10 years there and pay at least 10K. That's 10,000 euros, dollars, pounds, whatever the currency. So that's an estimate that I've just recently found on a therapist's page. They are very clear about that. It's a lengthy process. And the thing is, it might not lead anywhere. I have a lot of experience with all kinds of therapies, even the ones where they think they're doing energy work. And it's never gotten me anywhere. If you have a better experience, then that's great, and I'm happy for you. But most people don't. And, if you do a shamanic healing session with someone like Shaman Durek, you will pay at least 750 euros for that, for just one session. My sessions also include preparation work and integration work. So it's really more than just a one session. And I do not hold these sessions for money. This is just kind of an amount I think you need to pay to be able to open up to receiving that big a gift. It's like the minimum amount I felt like you would need to pay to really receive something substantial back, because when we give someone money, this is our way of opening ourselves up to the healing. There has to be some kind of energy exchange for you to actually be able to receive that energy, right? So I don't do this for the money. This is a lot less lucrative for me than my usual work. I really do this because because I want to help you with those specific topics, and I love performing shamanic healing sessions. I love it, especially these small group healing sessions where everyone holds space for each other. It just adds another layer of power and magic to it that I really love. So if you want to check that out, that's also on my website, shamanicyoga.love/shamanic healing. You can see the sessions that are coming up and you can book in for that. So let's talk about integrations before I dive into your personal topics that I have received. So soul level healing, like I said before, needs to be integrated into the body, into the thoughts, emotions, relationships, and bank accounts to be as effective as it can be, right? So we could just bring back that soul piece, and if it's properly integrated, it would sort itself out, the whole topic. But it might take time, you might really take a lot of time to be able to embody this soul level healing. So that's why integrations are really beautiful, to add that to the healing work. And this is also where it gets very personal, because the most effective integration for each person, that's very different for each person and also for each problem. So usually when I perform shamanic healing on someone, I specifically ask for the integration process, and then I get insights from my spirit guides or the person's spirit guides or both. That's after I've performed the extractions and retrievals for my clients, right? So, while I can't go that deep here with you today, obviously, I'm going to do my best to map out your personal path for healing right now with the topics that you've shared with me. So let's dive right into that. And if you're here with me live, you can let me know any topics that you have not shared with me yet. I'm going to check the group also, double check, because I'm not actually sure I can see the comments here. Making sure I'm not missing anything. Sometimes Facebook can be a little bit glitchy, but I don't want to complain. Overall, it works well and connects us all. So I've received questions from 5, 6 of you. So I'm going to go into all of that. But before we do, I want to also guide you on a little meditation. I want us to tune in together. Okay, I've missed all the comments. I cannot see them coming up somewhere. So let me just check the comments. Hi, Michelle. Let me know what part you want me to repeat. I'm happy to do that for you. And if you have a topic for me to feel into for you, let me know as well. Healing topic. Deep breath asking, so even in a group, is it individual healing? Yes, exactly. That's how my group healing sessions work. There's a maximum of 5 women present. So it's a very, very small circle. That's the maximum I can do in one session where I can really provide my best energy for it. So we're opening the session with some sharing typically. Then we have a big meditation, a shamanic meditation, where I really make sure your personal energetic space is cleared and you don't have crazy thoughts running around your mind anymore, and you connect to Mother Earth and Father Sky, and you're really open to the healing. I also give you some work to do before coming to the session to make sure you're extra open and well before we dive in. And then I work on each woman individually. And while I'm working on, say, you, Deepa, the other 4 are holding space for you. So I'm guiding everyone also into how to hold space. So it's just a beautiful energetic container that makes the healing even more powerful. And then I switch to the other person. And then at the end, when I've worked on all 5, then I tell you exactly what happened and what your energy integration is, and also what your practical integration is. And then at the end, we have some sharing. So those sessions, they're usually around 90 minutes long. Yeah. Okay. Michelle, your topic is sexual trauma. Okay. I'm gonna put that down here so we can talk about that. I was thinking the other day that most women, probably all women, have sexual trauma to some degree. So this is a really good topic to talk about. Thank you for bringing it up. So before we talk about all of that, let's really just tune in together. Let's take a moment to go within and to set our intention. So I want you to lean back, close your eyes, get really comfortable. And then we start to take a few deep breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth to really fully land in the present moment, letting go of everything that doesn't serve us in this moment, everything else that might hold our attention, anything we're still holding on to energetically from our day, just letting it all go. One more deep breath in and out. And then I want you to feel into your body. See if you're still holding on to any tensions that you can let go of in this moment. Breathing in, feeling into any tensions. Breathing out, letting them go. letting go of any tension from your brow, relaxing all the tiny muscles around your eyes, relaxing your jaw, your mouth and lips, relaxing your throat, making it soft, relaxing your neck, relaxing your shoulders down, softening your belly, letting go of any tensions from your arms and hands, from your legs and feet. And now focus on your breathing again for a moment. And you're noticing as you breathe deeply in and out through your nose, then your thoughts are slowing down. And then take a moment to feel into your heart space. You can imagine breathing in and out of your heart. As you breathe in, feeling your heart opening up like a flower in bloom. And breathing out, just relaxing into your feelings, whatever they might be in this moment. Now I want us to set our intention to receive deep insights into our personal path for healing. If you focus for a moment on your third eye chakra, seeing the point between your eyebrows, glowing in a beautiful purple light, opening up your perception of your personal truth, so you can receive deep insights into why you are really struggling with this and what your personal path of healing will look like. And if you focus for a moment on your crown chakra, feeling a beautiful bright white light at the top of your head, opening you up to connecting to your soul self, to spirit, opening you up to soul level healing. And then take another deep breath in and out before coming back to the here and now, opening your eyes again gently, starting to move your body again. Wow, let me know how you're feeling now in the comments. I'm just feeling so wide awake and so present. It makes such a difference, just 5 minutes of tuning in. Good, lovelies. Now let's dive into your personal topics. So, I have received a topic from Kairi about your breasts. So you have some kind of health issue with your breasts and you don't know yet what exactly it is and you're afraid it might be cancer. Well, my mother died from cancer. So it's a topic that I have been deeply affected by myself and I have felt a lot into over the years of reconnecting with my mother's spirit And, you know, the cancer is always about attacking yourself, right? It's always an expression of how you feel deep down about yourself. Now, we don't know yet if it is cancer. It might not be at all, right? But if it should be, I have had one client in the past who was my apprentice who had breast cancer and who healed herself from that through shamanic healing, which was really beautiful for me to witness. And healing usually comes about when it comes to cancer in this way. We start with the shamanic healing, right? We really need to take away the negative energy that has already accumulated in that part of the body. Then we need to bring back the soul pieces and power pieces that are at the core of the issue, which might be related to childhood, might be related to past lives, or both. Typically it is both. And then it's about the integration, right? So the integration for that, it depends on each person individually, but it could be about working with the inner child, right? If the issue comes from childhood, the main issue, then I would integrate some emotional healing, some heart healing into that, maybe with the inner child. Really making sure that you feel loving towards yourself, that you really love yourself, right? And often when it comes to really loving ourselves, we have to really understand on a deeper level who we are, right? We have to reconnect to our soul selves. So often when it comes to real self-love issues, what I work on with my clients is teaching them shamanic journeying so that they can actually experience themselves as love and light. And then they realize, wow, of course I love myself. I am love, you know, how can I not? And of course, this is not something that we just realize with the mind and then it happens. This is something we actually have to experience. Now, you know, your breasts might also just remind you to nourish yourself. The breasts are a symbol of nourishment, right? So maybe depending on exactly what's going on, we would also work with the lover archetype, which is all about giving love to yourself first, you know, and then loving others from your overflow, doing your work from your overflow. First, giving to yourself. Someone who's depleted cannot really give. And whenever we give from a depleted state, we're not actually giving from a pure intention of giving. We're giving for some kind of selfish reason because we think that's how we're going to be loved or accepted. You know, whenever we give from a depleted state, there is a problem at the core, right? And typically the people that we give to will not be able to receive it in the way that we intend, and that leads to other problems. Let me know if that sounds familiar. Maybe you've experienced this in your relationships, maybe with your lover, maybe with your child, maybe with your clients. Maybe you're someone who tends to overgive. So working with the lover archetype can be really powerful here. And all of these ways that I work with clients, Kayuri, I know you've already experienced some of them since you are in my Moon Tribe, in my monthly membership. So you have access to the Inner Child Healing series that I have. You have access to Shamanic Chakra Healing for Abundance. You have access to the Shaman Activation, which is all about working with the archetypes. So you really have all of this stuff at your fingertips. And of course, you can join me for a Shamanic Healing session to really deal with the soul level cause first, which I highly recommend. And whatever is happening for you here with your health, I just want you to know that every problem that we have is a stepping stone to a greater awareness. It is a stepping stone to our next level selves. So I want you to just be assured that even though sometimes the physical stuff can be really scary, it really isn't. It's just a chance for growth. So there's no condition that we can have in the body that cannot be healed. And this is simply an invitation, you know, to love yourself more and to grow. Okay, so I hope you can see it that way, and I hope this was helpful, and let me know if you have any follow-up questions. I hope I'm saying your name right. Sri Ranjini, what a cool name. I'm guessing you are from India. This is also about health. I have been having epilepsy since my childhood. So when it comes to epilepsy, I don't have any personal experience. I also have never worked with anybody who has epilepsy as a healer. But what I can tell you is that illness that we've had since childhood always originates in a past life, you know. Sometimes people, when people don't understand the law of attraction, you know, what trips them up is like, okay, so children, right? They have not been thinking in a negative way. They have not done anything bad. How are they attracting all of this horrible stuff that's happening to them? Well, this is past life stuff. This is really what it is. So, so obviously shamanic healing would be really powerful for you here to actually go back to the origin, what happened in that past life, to bring back those soul pieces. And then of course it would be about figuring out the best energetic and physical integration that you need, depending on insights from spirit that we would receive in that session, right? So I just want you to rest assured, it's exactly what I said to Kayuri before, that any and all conditions can be cured. The first thing often to do is to stop identifying with the issue, stop focusing on it. And I know that's really hard when it comes to physical stuff, right? So whenever we have something that hurts, it's very easy to focus our attention on that, and that's an instinct from our limbic brain, right, where we deal with survival issues, which is why it's really important that we raise our consciousness. A daily spiritual practice would really be amazing for you here. So I of course would recommend shamanic journeying, since this is really the best spiritual practice there is, because you are connecting with yourself on a soul level. You're connecting to spirit in a really powerful way. It's like having a phone line, you know, to spirit. That's how easy it gets when you've practiced shamanic journeying. Like, I can just channel these insights as I go, you know. There's no time even needed for that. So that's what I would recommend, also to get some insights and to stop identifying with the problem, because as soon as you start to think differently, you know, you have to stop identifying as a person who has epilepsy, you know, and just change that thought to, I've had this in the past, and although it's been since childhood, and although it's as far as I can think back, it does not mean that it has to be an issue for me in the future. That's where the healing journey really starts. Okay, I hope that's helpful for you. Good, let me check the comments before I move on to the other things I have received. Okay, beautiful insights here from Deepa. Now Deepa, I've already received the topic from you, so I'm going to speak to that, which was about self-worth and the relationship to ourselves. And identity, which we just talked about a little bit, and how we perceive who we are. So this is a really nice topic to talk about, because all of our self-worth issues, you know, that kind of lead to a whole host of other problems that we might be experiencing, they really come back to this limited vision that we have of ourselves, right? Where we just see ourselves as a walking, talking, feeling, thinking body, which is not at all who we are, right? We're so much more than that. We are pure consciousness. And so again, in this case, you know, of course you haven't told me exactly what the issue is that comes from that, but there's so many issues that can come from self-worth problems, right? It might be physical, it might show up in your relationships or in your financial life. Whenever it comes to that, we would start with shamanic healing, look at the core cause of the issue, and then we would probably do some inner child healing. When it comes to self-worth, that's usually where I go. And shamanic inner child healing, just like shamanic chakra healing, they're just so much more powerful than just inner child healing, just chakra healing, because the shamanic element really makes us go so deep, you know, and really connects us to the energies of Mother Earth and Father Sky, which are, you know, all that is, you know, the combination of the divine masculine and the divine feminine is creating everything that you see, right? And also everything within you. And where there's imbalances, we can work with that directly, which is so powerful and so beautiful also. So I have my shamanic inner child healing series, and there is a specific session for self-worth that I would probably give you after the shamanic healing session as an energy integration. There might also be some heart healing involved, shamanic heart healing when it comes to that. So many of us have problems that come back to thinking too much and not really being in the heart because our hearts are guarded. We've experienced a lot of pain, so we've hardened our hearts. We have this heart wall, and we really need to work on opening up our hearts again, feeling what needs to be felt. And that can be really difficult to do alone. You typically need someone to hold space for you for that. For all inner child healing, you can't really effectively do that on your own. You need someone to hold space for you, right? Because this part of you, there's so many inner child parts of you, right? They are stuck in time because nobody was holding space for that part, right? So typically that's what you need for healing. Let me know if all of that makes sense. Let me know if you have questions. And of course, shamanic journey to get to know the real self. When you experience yourself as love and light, there is no question of your worthiness. You literally are everything there is, right? So often having this strong spiritual practice can also just give you a shift in perspective that just changes everything really fast. Hope that's helpful, Deepa. Now, another question I have received is from Alicia. I'm overthinking my business, so I'm stuck. Too many ideas. I'm multi-passionate, so I have too many things I want to do. Seeking clarity and healing my bank account. Okay. Many women are like that. I was like that myself. Oh my God, if I told you every job I've ever had and every interest I've ever pursued, you would not believe it. So this is typically an issue of not wanting to get real with ourselves, right? It's a positive way of not getting real with ourselves. It's typically, when we have like these upbeat personalities, like I have, when you're kind of an extrovert, when you're really like, you're seeking adventure, you want to do a lot of things. I'm Aries, so this is my native energy, but you can still be trying to get away from something, to run away from something, which is typically yourself, right? It's much better to find this type of path of running away from yourself than the destructive one where you go into depression, anxiety, anger, etc., right? But often these issues are what awaits us on the path to healing. There's some emotions, some issues that we have to work through. So there's nothing wrong with being multi-passionate. You can absolutely have several passions. You can integrate a lot of your passions into your business. I do, In my business, I get to do so many things, that I love, many of them, but not all of them. I don't ride horses as part of my business. I don't snorkel as part of my business. I don't typically dance as part of my business. I don't typically sing, although I have done singing and dancing as part of my business. I have some practices for that. But, you have certain things, certain, interests that will flow into your business and others that will just be part of your private life. So that's important to make that distinction of what goes where. And before you can make any such practical decisions, you need to get really clear with yourself on what your soul purpose actually is. So you need to stop fidgeting and doing a million things and feel the emotions you probably don't want to feel. And this is how clarity will come when you engage in a spiritual practice, right? When you do some soul searching. I have a vision quest for my clients. It's a 3-day vision quest where you really find out what your soul purpose actually is. And that's so important to do, because you were also talking about healing your bank account and finding your soul purpose. When you know exactly who you're supposed to help, how you're supposed to help them, what your soul really wants you to do, what you are the best at, what you most love doing, which is typically really connected to your own struggles in life. And before you can have clarity on that, you typically have to face those struggles on a deeper level. Then prosperity follows, right? You have your purpose, you combine that if you're a healer with power, right, that you've cultivated while you've been training and practicing. And you add service, being willing to be of service, offering your work to others, and prosperity is the natural result of that, right? So I hope this makes sense, Alicia. Of course, some shamanic healing before the soul searching might be really important, to get to the core of what you might be running away from. So that you can, as a second step, get that clarity from soul searching and vision quests to find your soul purpose. Good. I think that's all the questions that I have received. Let me just check the comments here. Anyone else who's live here with me, let me know. I can see the numbers, but I cannot see your names. Let me know in the comments if there's still anything that you want a personalized answer to. And while you do, I'm just gonna sum up kind of what the path to healing is for the different topics, right? When it comes to, so all of the topics, right? Whether it's the body, the heart and relationships, money and purpose, we always start with shamanic healing because we need to go back to the soul level cause of the problem, right? And then as a next step, when it comes to the body, there's typically a lot of extraction work that happens already in the shamanic healing session, taking away negative energy that has accumulated. There's always more of that when there's a physical issue present. And then we need some physical integration, right? So I might give you specific exercises to do with your body, or you might need to see a doctor as a next step, right? You might just need to start talking lovingly to your body every evening. You might need a specific body work, or you might need to get massages. So there's always some kind of physical integration that really depends on whatever exactly you are dealing with, and we would find that out as part of the healing session. And then when it comes to emotional issues, when it comes to relationships, we always, after the shamanic healing, have to have some emotional healing happening as an integration, right? When we do the soul level healing, that's not automatically emotional healing, heart healing, right? So this is literally when we go into the heart, we open the heart, we look at heart wounds, which are typically coming from childhood. We look at what needs to heal there. We look at how is it playing out in your relationships right now. Where do you need to set boundaries? Where do you need to have an honest conversation? Whatever is needed, right? So there might also well be some practical adjustments that need to happen here. And when it comes to money, when it comes to your purpose, one of my specialties is money magic. So developing a beautiful relationship with money, there's really 3 phases, right? Which I all teach in my Money Magic Mastermind, which is part of Shamanic Stars, but you can also purchase it separately, which is where we have 3 months of a deep dive into all things finances. So the first month is really about, it's about the deep healing, the releasing, what does not serve you, what stories about money, what feelings, what thoughts, what is there in your past life that you need to let go of, what is there in your childhood, right? So this is the deep work. The second month is all about embodying, starting to really embody who you want to be in relationship to money, right? Opening up to receiving more. Money is just a supportive energy, it's just like love. And often when we work on money, our love life gets better. Often when we work on our love life, money gets better, because money really is just a loving energy, if we let it be. And then the third month of the Money Magic Mastermind is all about receiving. So this is where it gets practical, and we devise strategies for how more money can flow into your life, because of course you need some aligned action. So, and of course, when it comes to money issues, if they're persistent, the cause is also probably in a past life. So again, shamanic healing is always where we need to start. And I hope all of that makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions before we end today's session, or any more topics for me to speak to. So I hope that you understand that the most important thing on your healing journey is to get support, right? We are not here on this planet alone. We're all here to help and support each other. And especially when it comes to a topic you've been dealing with for a long time, I don't want you to keep struggling with that by yourself, right? I've just lost a close friend to suicide. And I have another close friend who is suicidal at the moment, who I'm spending a lot of time with. And I really know what can happen from personal experience if we don't take it seriously, what we're dealing with, right? Lots of health concerns that seem small at first, we ignore them, we don't take it seriously, it's not important enough, they take a backseat. It develops into something, you need to put yourself into the center of your life, and you need to give yourself whatever it is that you need. That might be a healing session with me, that might be something completely different, but I really encourage you to feel into what it is that you actually need. Be honest with that, and don't deny yourself that. Don't make excuses. Don't say you don't have the time, you don't have the money, whatever it is that you use an excuse, you know. It's just excuses. You know, you are the whole universe. Your possibilities are endless and your choices are endless. So I want you to, today, as a first step to this healing process, really go over your thinking and your beliefs. What are you thinking about yourself in relationship to this problem that you're having? And is that really true? Ask yourself that as a next step. Is that really true, you know? And mostly it isn't. Just because you have certain thoughts and beliefs and feelings does not mean that it's true, right? We have some thoughts and beliefs and they trigger emotions. And the emotions are what affects the body, what affects, in the end, whatever shows up in our lives or doesn't show up. So I want you to, as a first step, really write down the limiting thoughts that you have and limiting beliefs that you have, you know, and then realize that that's not necessarily true. It's just true as long as you believe it, as long as you think it, but you can make a different choice. And as soon as you turn around your thoughts and think something different about yourself that feels better, you're going to start to feel better and things are going to start to shift. Of course, that's not the whole healing path, but that's typically where it starts, because most people that I meet as a healer who have been struggling with things for a long time, they are resistant to healing, right? They have some kind of resistance. They're making excuses, right? So if you really want to heal, you have to stop making excuses. You have to give yourself permission to take all the time that you need for your healing process, to use all the money that you need for this healing process. There's always a way to get the resources that you need, to make the time you need, to make the money that you need. There's always a way, but you have to want it first, right? That's really important, that you step out of victim mode and you realize that your whole life is self-created and that every issue that comes up, it's just your soul communicating with you that it needs some attention from you, you know, and that you're not exactly on your soul path. And I want you to know that you can always find your soul path again. You can always come back to it, you know, that your soul is always there. It's at the core of everything you are and everything you do. And all you need to do is reestablish a connection through your spiritual practice, shamanic journeying. I highly recommend you learn it. Everyone on the planet should learn it. We would have no more problems at all. Shamanic healing, you can learn it for yourself. You can join a healing session. You can do both. Highly recommend you do that. And I wish you all the very best. Thank you so much for being here with me. I hope this was helpful to everyone. And I'm sending you all lots and lots of love. Namaste.